Are we living in a simulation? Is life a game? Or are the rules to life and the rules to games totally different?
Chess is a strategy game, not a life game.
There's certain strategies that you can set that you're not going to see.
No, it's a strategy game. When you play chess, everybody start out with the same pieces. That don't happen in real life. It's not a life game. There's no war where everybody has the exact same resources.
Right.
Number two, I get to see every move you make. That doesn't happen in real life.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Number three, you're the general as the person moving the pieces. Every soldier does exactly what you tell them to do. They can't do anything else.
Deviate.
That doesn't happen in real life. You know how many generals have told a soldier to do something, he do something else? Fourth, there's no emotion. This is real.
Not the way I play.
This is real.
There's certain traps that you can set that you're not going to see.
What happens now when you pushing that piece and that piece is in love with the chick from the other side?
That's what he said, no emotion.
There's no emotion.
That's what he said.
Romeo and Juliet.
Boy, there you go. You know the story. What are your thoughts, lad? What are your thoughts? Is life chess? Is chess life?
I agree that it's different. Like, I find myself, like, for some reason, drawn to want to agree that life is like chess, but I just don't feel like I can say, yeah, it is like chess. Like, those arguments that he made were very strong.
Yeah. It's funny. Don't you think it's like, is one of, I say, don't you think, is it because we have been so primed to believe that life is a game and that chess and some of these other games are akin to the way life works?
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is. You know what? Because I see elements of a chess game in life.
Yeah.
Like, chess is one of those games where it's a very thoughtful game. It's very cerebral. You're plotting and planning. I'm going to move this. And then you're thinking 5, 6, 7 steps ahead.
Come on.
Which is the way, one of the powerful ways, one of the powerful things people have to do to win in life. If you're just thinking about right now, right here, today, and somebody else is thinking about today in connection with tomorrow and next week and next month and next year and next decade, that person's most likely going to win. And that's normally what happens in chess. The person who's playing chess and is thinking more steps ahead is normally the player that's going to win. That's why I feel like I'm being drawn to, yes, life is like chess, but many of the variables, like, yeah, like there is no emotion in chess, or in the pieces anyway.
Yeah.
There are all the same pieces. And I think, you know what it is, I believe everybody has the opportunity to win.
Yeah.
In life.
Yeah.
Because this is what I was thinking, yeah. Some people have a queen or have a king on the chessboard, but I believe some people believe they have a queen or a king on the chessboard, and it's not really that. That's what the point I'm making is, in life, that is. In life, some people think I've got a queen.
Yeah.
But it's really not a queen. So, for example, some people think if you're born into wealth, that's like the queen on the chessboard.
Right.
And that means you're most likely to win.
Yeah.
That's not always a queen, though. Sometimes it's something that's actually working against you. So that's where my mind's going. I don't know if if I'm going too deep and just overthinking it, but I'm thinking about that as well.
B?
Well, I don't really know chess like that, but obviously I've heard like loads of mentions like to chess.
Yeah.
Like it's not checkers,
it's chess.
Yeah.
It's not checkers, it's chess.
Chess, it ain't checkers.
But I do believe that there are elements of life that you can say is like a game.
Right.
Right. So he's comparing it specifically to chess.
Correct.
But even if you didn't do that, life is somewhat like some sort of game. For example, take money. Let's just take money, for example. Yeah. Like, a person who has money can give you principles to money that regardless of your background, if you apply those principles, you can get a specific outcome,
Right.
regardless of where you start from and so on and so on and so on. But I feel like with life though, things aren't fair. Like you never start off in the same position. You never start off in the same place. Just like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Like Israel said, his arguments are strong. Do you know what I mean? It's like
We're all naked and we all come out crying and naked.
we do, but some of us come out in hospital, some of us come out on planes, some of us come out in gutters. Do you know what I mean? Some get abandoned and they get found by people and they go to foster homes.
For real?
So we don't start off in the same place. However, even though we don't start off in all on the same place, we don't all start off in the same places. The principles still remain. That if you apply them,
Yeah.
you can get a specific outcome. It might be harder for some,
Yeah.
in terms of like, if you started off and you haven't got like a mum and dad telling you like, listen son, apply this and apply that, do this and do that. If you don't have that, you might have to YouTube it or whatever the case. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's like might have to find it somewhere, or you might find it late. Some people read. We was talking earlier on about books. Israel's mentioning how he likes like physical books, and like me, I like physical books as well for the purpose of a library, but I prefer to listen to a book just because I feel like I can just get through it quickly, get the information I need, and then go apply it.
Yeah.
So we're different in that way. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but yeah. So I think life in itself there are game-like scenarios that, do you know what I mean? It's like if applied in a certain way, you more than likely get the outcome.
This is where I think though, on maybe it's the next like deeper levels on the game. Obviously, you guys know. I like to say every advantage has a disadvantage, and every disadvantage has an advantage. So I always think to myself, there's certain things that happen to people in life which are disadvantages, but those are also the catapult to give them the biggest advantage as well.
Yeah.
The reason I think about it, that element as a game, is because you have to get to that realization.
Yeah.
If you, like, imagine most people can look back in life to something dreadful or something very bad that happened to them.
Yeah.
And see how, in hindsight, in retrospect, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years removed from it, this was not that. That experience propelled them into something far greater than they could ever imagine or see.
Yeah.
Without that experience, they wouldn't have had that. So it's like, when I think about these kind of things, that when he was talking about, like you don't start with the same chess pieces and all those kind of things, I honestly believe, regardless of the situation, there are massive advantages for people in those massive disadvantages.
Yeah.
But it's about extracting it. It's like, imagine you've got a zip file and it's got all, it's shrunk down and you've got all the folders inside. If you extract that folder, you see the real size, the real potential. But if you don't do that, you're just constantly going to be looking at, this thing looks like really small. But you have to extract it, you have to unzip it.
Yeah.
And then everything is actually in there. And that's what I think about someone who may start with all the pieces, so to speak, on the chessboard, to opposed to someone who only starts with pawns or only starts with one piece. It's like, you look at it and it seems like I'm in a negative position, but that could be used to get you into a much more powerful position.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? I don't disagree with you. The only reason why I feel like some people have it a lot harder is because they have to get to that realization in the first place. And sometimes getting to that realization is the hardest part. Like,
Yeah. Go on.
Let me just ask you this.
okay, go on.
Because there was a couple of us talking the other day. I know I asked you this question. So imagine a married couple. They are grinding. We're talking about a particular film. The husband is on the grinding. He looks like a waste man, just like useless for a long period of time, like years. Then he hits it big, like really, really big, massive. And my point was, it was worth it. That long journey to get to the rest of their life made generationally was worth it, was
Yeah.
worth all of that struggle.
Yeah.
And I was getting a bit of pushback. So I'm saying that to say, for people like you're talking about who start off in those situations, when they blow through, when they hit
The jackpot.
basically, it's different.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I definitely get that.
Do you feel like it's worth it is the question?
Yeah, like even if he didn't go through all of that, but still reached his goal, it would still be worth it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, but what I'm saying is like the overcoming. Like, for example, remember? So think about it before. Yeah. So I'm mentioning a child that's born in a household where they have both their parents, or maybe even one of their parents, but they've got someone that loves them enough to say to them, "Listen, failure is not the end." Like, everyone experiences failure. Everyone, do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
and a person who they don't have that,
Yeah.
right? So to them, failure is like, it's the be all and end all kind of thing. Yeah. So they have the wrong idea about failure. There's no one around to teach them like that. Yeah. Especially
No one at all. No, you're not talking about like for like parent, like a mum and a dad versus a mum and a dad. You're not talking about a mum and dad versus an aunt and uncle. You're saying one person has that contribution.
Yeah.
One person lacks that.
Yeah.
Okay.
bro, like, because even for myself, bro, like I've experienced failure, bro. Like countless times, bro. And it's like, but I've realized the how can I mention it? It's like the punch, bro. Like the
Impact.
impact of that failure, the hurt of that failure, oftentimes came from our understanding of the failure.
Right.
So let me explain it. Like, I'm trying out for a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get it. I tell myself, like, no, it's all right. Like, people feel like, do you know what I mean? Like, this is my personal experience, yeah? It's all right, people fail. I try again, I feel like, it's all right, people feel like this thing is hard. People don't just make it, do you know what I mean? It's like, bro, after the 10th, the 20th, the 40th,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? It's like, you have to keep telling yourself that same story.
For sure. For sure.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, but it's only when I've come to a realization that the ideas that I had behind failure were the wrong ideas. It became not comfortable, still feel it when it happens, but it's bearable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's bearable. It's like, so, but imagine like you don't, because I remember when I first became a believer, right? Here's what I felt like God was saying to me, yeah? Like, be mindful of the situations that I bring you out of.
Right.
Remember them. The reason why you need to remember them is because when I'm bringing you into a new situation and it's hard for you to overcome that situation, the enemy's going to come and tell you that you're never going to overcome that situation.
Right.
And what you need to do is you need to point to the last situation that he said you couldn't overcome and you overcame.
Yeah.
What about people who don't have that
So this is what I'm saying.
situation?
This is what I'm saying. But in the beginning, because it's funny because even recently, like this has been playing on my mind, yeah? Because when you first start off, you've got nothing to point to.
Right.
Like, you've got nothing to say, I overcame this.
Yeah.
At least in this scenario,
Right.
right? You might just have to depend on God. That might solemnly be it,
Yeah.
right? You might just have to say to yourself, like, listen, I don't have a choice. I got to get to that place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's all you might just have. Do you know what I mean? And then once you get over, then, like, that's why they say, haven't yet made my million. In the spiritual realm, I've made it, but I haven't yet made my physical million, yeah? But they say, once you make your first million, after that,
It's easy.
it tends to
Making the
become
second,
easier.
yeah, the
Making the
first
second-
million. The first million is the hardest million to make.
First million is the hardest
Yeah,
million to
yeah,
make.
yeah.
And we also know that when you go gym, for example,
Yeah.
like momentum kicks in, and you're just like, where you going, gym? It's like it's normal for me. But
Straight.
in the beginning, like I always say, like when you start going gym, don't stop,
Yeah.
because that getting back, it's the longest day.
We always talk about that, innit? Breaking in, having to break in, go through DOMs,
Yeah.
the experience, the pain of, the first 2 weeks
Yeah.
back at gym. Yeah. But once you, as you say, once you get through that, then it's
Yeah,
business as usual.
the point I'm just trying to make is like we don't all start from the same place. We're not.
You're gonna go.
We don't all start from the same place. We don't all feel the same way when we start. Like, but nonetheless, it's like that don't matter. Like, no matter where you start, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You have to do the work.
Yeah.
If you can't, like, my reading wasn't as strong as people in my class. I still had to try to get my degree.
Come on.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter where you start. It don't matter whether it's fair or whether it's not fair. Do you know what I mean? All of that doesn't matter. You still got to do the work.
Yeah, my thoughts about the whole game thing, in like, I guess in context of this is, as you said, we don't all start, even though, as I said, we come out naked and crying, but as you said, the environment we come out naked and crying is different. Yet, I believe we all have the exact same opportunity. That's how I see it. I believe in life, and people will argue this big time, but I believe that that's the similarity between life and the game.
Yeah.
In a game, when you start, no matter how you start, no matter the game, there is you might say, depending on the game, 50-50 chance you're going to win. And in life, it's much the same. There is you have an opportunity to win at life. And I think that really, for me, that is the basic similarity. I agree with what you said earlier on, that obviously there are a number of, identifiers we can look at, a number of factors that we can look at and say, okay, you know what, these are the similarities between this game, that game, chess and life. Yeah, I think fundamentally it's, you come out of the womb, you're crying, you're naked, but you can win. You can leave this place, again, naked later on and maybe crying as well into the ground, but you could have won. You could have achieved something great. And doubling back to the point you made earlier on, I think my in terms of failure, I thought it was Alexander Bell, but it's Edison. It's amazing his perception. They say, he failed creating the light bulb numerous times. And someone asked him, one reporter said to him, like, so how does it feel, failing, was it 999 times or 100 times? And
10,000.
10,000 times, and etc. And then he was like, no, that was 9,999 attempts that didn't work.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying? So he thought about it like a scientist, thought about it like someone who's objective. You know what I'm saying? And in his mind was saying to him, that didn't work. It's another one you cross off the list and say that didn't get me there. There's another route out there, and it's that perseverance. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, obviously, he changed the frame. Obviously, we changed the frame, we changed the game.
Come on.
And so think about it like this: it's like he's ahead 9,000, 10,000
That's right.
times more than the next person or somebody who's starting
With their third failure.
on that day and saying,
10th
okay,
failure.
yeah, I'm going to try and create a light bulb or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like, that, I guess that's what I think about when I think about the advantages and the disadvantages. Because you can't, some people don't, there were people that didn't have his experience,
Yeah.
which he could pull on.
Yeah.
And that's valuable, very valuable. Whereas the person who falls 50 times and is like, yeah, I'm done. His mindset was the reverse. And like, yeah, like I just know all these ways not to fail because I've gone through them.
Yeah.
So someone else coming after him may have to go through all those 9,000, maybe not, but
Yeah.
they say he's the one that invented it, innit? So
Yeah, I think it. So now, what I've started to relate it a lot to now is just like it's like marriage, innit? It's like you make a decision, a commitment,
Come on.
and then you just decide, I'm gonna get to the end,
Right.
no matter what.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously in today's world, I hate to say that the perception of marriage is very tainted.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? People feel like they could just walk in and out of it like it's nothing, but it's really just saying like I was having a conversation with Sam, and it's just something that he said to me. I was just like, yeah, and it's the same thing. Thinking back now, me and you, the conversation on your balcony in Hoxton was talking about faith. It was like, well, when do I believe until? until.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like
That's faith, innit? That's
yeah,
faith.
it's like either I see it or I die. Like, do you know what I mean?
That's
It's
it,
like,
bro. That's it.
It's plain and simple.
That's real
There's no
faith.
if, buts, or maybe. It's like either I see it or I die. And it's like same thing with marriage. I get into it, and no matter what happens between when we say yes, do you know what I mean?
And the end.
And the end, which is like
Yeah.
death, bro. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? One of us has got to go, kind of thing. Do you know what I
Do
mean?
us part.
Come on now.
Bro, like this is it. So it's like when you make up your mind. Now I find it. So what's changed in terms of like how I was feeling when I was failing before and now is like I just made a decision. It's all or nothing. It's like I'm gonna see the outcome of this, whether it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yeah.
7. Like I'm gonna see the outcome of this. I already embarked on this journey. I ain't quitting.
Come on.
Do you know what I mean? So at that moment in time, it's just like failing out. We're just like, okay, cool. What did I do wrong now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So hence why I just like go. I 100% agree with you in terms of like opportunity. We all have opportunities available to us. I don't know if I would say it's the same, but we all have opportunities that are available to us. Do you know what I mean? It's like what you choose to do. Like, you might not start off at a certain place,
Yeah.
but those opportunities are there. And even when we mention the other stuff, it's like it's mainly principle. Do you know what I mean? Like Thomas Edison,
Yeah.
like that same way he was thinking. It's funny how I'm thinking now, but it's similar to the way that he was.
Like,
Basically,
it's the same thing, and I think is really characterize it, and it's about frame. It's about the way you frame things. And when he was saying it, I was tying it back to your point about it being the struggle being that moment of realization, going through the journey to understand that this is the knowledge I needed from the beginning. This is the hard part, and I think. You know, it is difficult when you don't have a mentor, you don't have a teacher, you don't have someone to guide you, you don't have a parent, you don't have a guide, you don't have a leader. It is tough. It can be really difficult. However, when I think about winning in life, I think about the same divine right that people will talk of in days of old, the divine right to life, essentially. In much the same way, I think that there is in each of us an opportunity, that same divine right that God has given us. It's a gift to win. And how do you really win in life? I don't want to make this super spiritual, but it really is about connecting with God. I think you can't really win spirit, soul, and body if there is no spiritual connection with God that is real enough, strong enough to impact your natural life. I think that to me. Let me say this as well. I'll say this right now. The big issue, I think, with success is people who haven't succeeded measure their success by somebody else's standard. So people are like, yeah, 1 million is what makes me successful. And that's problematic because some people who have achieved 1 million are looking for a lot more than that.
100, yeah.
Do you understand? And I think this is the issue. So money makes me happy. I think that's a problem. That's a problematic statement because a person that doesn't have something is desirous, lustful, or going after something that they've never really had, and they just have this belief that will make them happy. I think if they become happy now, it's likely that they'll be happy when they've got the dough. But if they're not happy now, when they get that money, they're going to be in much the same disposition.
Like, I've said that to people before. Like, bro, like you keep saying that as soon as you get the money, you're gonna be. It's like, ain't you heard of millionaires committing suicide? Bro?
Listen, they don't understand. I'm telling you.
Do you know what I mean? Millionaires, billionaires, like shooting themselves in the face, and it's not even like a normal like man shooting himself in the face, jumping off a building, or
It's crazy.
taking like crazy pills. Like, bruv, like the money ain't.
It's not right. It's not right.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah. But it is interesting, like to think of it. It's like, just to see where people start off, bro. Like that's like I'm pretty sure we've all come across like Francis Ngannou's story, and it's just like that's nuts, bro. Like me, like the ocean, like even being on a cruise ship is it's a long day, but bro, like man was in the small boats, bro, in the small boats trying to get.
This is what I'm saying though. It's like if he doesn't have those experiences, is he the Ngannou we know today?
No.
So it's like, this is my thing, yeah. I've been reading this book recently, yeah. Let me ask the question first. I was reading this book, and it's about this guy from history. He was a slave. He escaped slavery. And there's times I'm reading the book and I'm thinking to myself, is it crazy or wrong of me to ever feel like he has a better chance than me because of what he's gone through. Like, is that crazy? Certain times,
You're talking about the slave.
yeah, who's escaped.
But think about it this way, yeah. How many other slaves escaped? That's the point I'm trying to make.
I don't know. But it's like, for me, it's not about that.
It's a different question. That's a different question.
Yeah.
No, is it? Because he was the one who had whatever he had in him to push through to see it till the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? But there was many like him.
Who what?
There was many like Francis.
Who what? Didn't.
They didn't make it to Francis's status. He said it himself in an interview. Francis Ngannou said it in one interview. He goes, you guys, obviously, man looks and throws hands like he's a rock here. He goes, there are many there are many stronger than me back home, but they're not standing here today. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he had something in him that said, nah, I gotta go over there. No matter what it takes, I'm gonna go over there. Right? But there were many like him who were stronger than him, who we don't know their names.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not. Physical strength has to yield to mental strength.
Yeah.
And inner, internal, spiritual strength, would say.
Yeah.
Physical has to yield to the spiritual. So if he's operating on a higher level spiritually, that will eventually come out physically, as long as there's enough time for it to happen.
I don't know. I feel like there are, like, obviously, I know I've mentioned this to you guys many times before, but like, for example, like, I'm not from here, yeah? Like, I know many others who also came from my country,
Yeah.
and they've got here, and they're not making the most of what's available to them.
Yeah.
Some
Right.
are in jail,
Yeah.
some are dead.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like they're not making the most of what's available to them. I thank God, somewhere along the line, I was able to realize, like, yo, like, if you was back home, this would be way harder.
Yeah.
So use what's available to you as though, like, do you know what I mean? Like you was back home, basically. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but
That's what I was going to ask you when you just brought it up. Do you feel like because you weren't born here in the UK, you have certain experiences or certain advantages which help you push forward, that someone born in the UK has their own certain advantages, but because of some of the stuff you've gone through, they will never understand or can never get?
okay, so that's a good point. I guess I see where you're coming from, yeah. But I also have to overcome, like, all of. So, because once I get here, people are already ahead of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I've got to play catch up, whether it's with reading, like speaking, understanding a language, and all of that kind of stuff there. So I've got to, like, catch up with everybody. Like, if I don't, for every one he does, I might have to do 5. If I don't do the 5, I'm always going to be behind him.
But if you do the 5, I'm thinking the word that's
Right.
ringing in my head when you're talking is compound interest.
Yeah, but I have to have the strength to do the 5.
Yeah. But
So that means we are not the same, me and this guy. Do you know what I mean? We're not the same. So it's like, whatever I'm doing, what I'm and the reality is, bro, I've found it, like, challenging, like highly challenging, especially like learning certain things. But obviously, but I also laugh at the guy who's like, dude, you was born here. You're telling me you're not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're not taking advantage of this kind of things. Like, are you nuts? Like, do you know what I mean? I don't laugh at them, but it's surprising to me.
do you ever feel like when you break through the atmosphere, it's going to be even easier for you? When you look
No.
around and you're
No,
like,
this is exactly what I'm saying. It's like,
So
it's not to say.
Your point is it will always be more difficult for you.
I hope not.
I
hope not.
I don't think so.
That's but that's what it almost feels like. That's what you just presented, because the other guy, let's just say, will always be in front. he will always have his advantage that puts him ahead of you.
No, he won't always like so I come and they've already got like maybe they're reading or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
let's use reading for example. Yeah, like their reading is already better.
Yeah.
yeah. So now I've got to learn from scratch.
Yeah.
But maybe for every 1 hour they put in, I've got to put in 5. I've got to carry on. And you're absolutely right. Over time, compound interest, I will leave them behind because they're only putting in 1. Eventually, I'll catch up and then I'll take off, which I have seen happen. Now I'm saying, but every single time that happens, I thank God, He's always put me around people that I kind of felt like was challenging, you know, like who I was, like how much more I can get, how much more I can do. Do you know what I mean? He's always put me around people like that. So, which has helped because it's made me like, okay, cool. I don't just have to settle here. I can want more. But it does mean where I find that it's easier for others, it's a lot more difficult for me.
Let me ask you something else really quickly. All right, so the other guy, let's just call him that. Was it difficult for the other guy to get to where he is, even though he was already here in the first place?
Yeah, maybe. Like maybe. I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no.
So if that is the case, doesn't that mean that there are similarities between? Doesn't that mean that you're not so dissimilar from him?
Nah, we are.
This is the thing. It's like
We are, bro.
the way I see things. Yeah. When someone who's further behind catches up, so to speak, or gets into the same arena, they at that point have the advantage. That's what I believe. So when they break through, and let's say the playing field's level or is close to level now, those advantages, like time is an advantage, but also just for example, lifting weight is an advantage too. You get stronger, etc. So when they're in that arena together, I believe that's when the advantages and disadvantages on both sides will now present themselves. If they ever find themselves in a battle, they're colliding or whatever's going on, those advantages that the first person had to get there, they're not as effective as they were before because they may have maybe got them there more easily, or maybe they started there. The person who's got there has those same disadvantages, the experience, but also has those same advantages as well. And I feel that puts them in a position to be stronger,
Better equipped
as time goes on.
Yeah, I believe so. But I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying it's for the person who's desiring to put in the 5. Do you know what I mean? Especially like you're around people, and that's what I'm saying. Hence why I try my hardest to always be reminded that I'm not from here. Do you know what I mean? Because it's easy to sit back and just be like, well, no one else ain't really going for that. So why? Do you know what I mean? It's like, you're right, man. Just like get a job and you'll be all right. Do you know what I mean? But like I said, I'm glad that God always puts me around people that tend to challenge that in me. So hence why it's just like, no, I can do more. I can do more. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's going to be harder, but I can do more. I can do more. Like, so you oftentimes find yourself in a place where you're just constantly uncomfortable. That's not even necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because then it means like you're growing. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so it's not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes you do wish it kind of came a little bit easy.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? That's all. But like, yeah, I just don't. I believe I agree with you guys 100%. The opportunities are there. I just don't feel like we start off in the same place.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think we start off in the same place. Like, I feel some people's places are way worse than other people's, but they make it work. Like, bruv, I couldn't imagine Francis's like trying to do what my guy did. I couldn't imagine that. I probably wouldn't have done that. Like, fam, it's hard here. I'm jamming here, bro. Do you know what I mean? Luckily, like my dad's that guy. He did it for me, and man just paid for my plane ticket, and I came over. Do you know what I mean?
And don't you think that again, like, comes down to, I know people will probably hate this, but you know, just that kind of the divinity, you know, like that God's sovereignty, like you are saying from your chest, you could never have done what Francis did. Francis is a testament because he took the leap and did what he did. And you're like, yeah, your dad, he was the guy, he did it for you. So being born where you were born, but being given the support system that you were given, and we're not saying, not likening yours to anyone else's, but your unique support system gave you the ability to make your way here, while Francis maybe lacked the support system, but God knowing his ability could get him where he would needed to get to. Does that make sense? It's like, so essentially my point is, you know, God, in my mind, as I'm hearing this, and maybe it's the way I perceive the world, but you both had provision in a unique way. And I guess it comes down to the disadvantages, which you call advantages, which can be advantages that you talk about all the time.
Yeah, it's just looking at it from a different perspective, isn't it? It's like, I think, going back to that point I was making earlier about just the slave thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I think we all have to come to a realization in life that there's certain things everybody's enslaved to. Mm-hmm. And the key is to escape. Like, we can't ever be in a situation and be like, I give up. Like, that's it. We should always have the mindset to break free, to come out, to be liberated.
Yeah. I do feel like that mindset as well is like, we shouldn't think that it's easily
Obtained
by people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, like, maybe I'm the guy that's gonna constantly be taking it back to the scriptural perspective to a degree. I just feel like that becomes easy when we trust God. I think so. When I'll take it this way, since we're here now. So when we talk about everyone having the same opportunity, we can all pray. Once we have come to know God, we all have the opportunity to engage Him the same way. And what we choose to do with that engagement is down to us. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that is the difference maker. The fact that you know the one who knows everything and choose to rely on his power as opposed to your own. I don't know Francis's religious disposition, but I know that people who have gone through some really distressing scenarios and come out on the other side, there's a great number of those that have testimonies that, you know, I prayed a prayer, you know, and some people didn't even have really rich relationships with God, but they prayed a prayer. They, you know, they trusted God that, you know, when they were at their, you know, the lowest, it was like, you know what, God, I need your help. Just help me through this. And we find that many people, you know, make those prayers at that point in time, their life turns around, and just like, you know, the 9 that didn't go back, you find that they too don't go back to God after, but God, like, he kept his end of the bargain, but they don't keep theirs. It's a strange thing. The world is a strange place, I'm telling you, in that sense. But yeah, I feel like there are opportunities that we do have that are equal across the board. And there are those that are not. I do think you're strange for thinking that he I can't remember how you framed it previously, but I do think you're strange. Obviously, if you're thinking that his advantage because he's broken through from slavery, but similarly to what Ben's just described, you two are in different places and you have different opportunities.
It's not necessarily about escaping. It's more so like I'm thinking about, like, you know, like a slingshot.
Yep.
Pull the slingshot back. The further you pull it back, the further it can go.
Right.
So it's like, think about pulling the slingshot back as like the disadvantage. Mm-hmm. The bigger the disadvantage.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
So certain times I read books like that or think about scenarios like that, and I'm like, if you take the same mindset and put it in a harder situation, you are going to come out harder, better. That's like, I think about it like that sometimes. That was more so the point I was trying to drive and think through, like, but
Strange doesn't mean it's not beneficial, by the way.
Yeah.
But you know, yeah. Wow, I'm quite amazed how this conversation turned out. Any final thoughts, gents? I'm just glad we are recording.